खुशी मिलती है उस चीज़ की।
Lakshmi just said that she had a very difficult time when she wanted to go out and get a job. This is the story of many women's situation as well. I believe that the World Bank has put the figure to 2 out of every 3 women in India are not employed. And not only is that 50% of the talent pool, I believe, but it's also, I think this is also a reflection of the many challenges that women face. As somebody who's been part of both the development sector and the corporate sector, what do you feel we can do more, and what are some of the challenges that you see?
So I'll begin by saying that the ability to be able to make choices actually, in my mind, defines empowerment. But not all of us are fortunate enough to either have parents or a society or be in an economic or geographic region which allows us that kind of nurturing that we can make choices. So, I think what is very, very important is that we all have to empathize that this is not a homogeneous world and there aren't homogeneous circumstances. And in my job, I very often see people on different kinds of platforms, including Anita Ji, Lakshmi here, that it is very, very difficult for them to, be able to put into action some of what we can very easily probably speak from platforms. So I think it is very important to get some kind of support. And this support doesn't necessarily need to come from a family member. It could come from an organization, it could come from society, it could come from a friend. But sometimes in isolation, it's very difficult to give shape to one's potential or thoughts. And as far as, women finding their place or having a voice, personally, and this is my personal opinion, I feel it does come down to economics. I have often found, and this has been my experience, that in the best of families, in the worst of families, in the homes of the ladies who work in my own home, to the ladies who I report into, the minute your economics are different, you do tend to have a voice. But then that brings back the whole dialogue of how do you get those economics to be thing, and it brings me back to what you're asking, that how do we look at women being more employable? Unfortunately, there aren't any, answers. But I think where we could begin is from where the debate in Delhi was at, that what can women do more for each other? And I think people who are in positions, and I heard from Zarina and I heard from others to say that it seems that everyone has reached out and tapped the potential of women who couldn't make it there. So I think we can begin by empathizing and we can begin by reaching out. But unfortunately, even if I would like to tell you so, there aren't any real clear answers either on the corporate side, nor on the government side, nor on the societal side to be able to do that. And there's still a lot to be done. Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Pune, they don't constitute India.
I think the Delhi discussion had also touched upon the fact that India is used to having women in power, whether it's politics or as even CEOs, but why does it not trickle down the pyramid? Perhaps you could share your thoughts on
that. So I think for that, there needs to be a little patience. We're 60 years old. We have moved from, and I'm quoting from our Delhi meeting, where it was a wonderful thing. I don't remember who said it. The point is, the lawyer said it, that we moved in 60 years from a position where every male in the country was allowed to have 3 women legally, and it was allowed, to a position where, we legalized, 1 man, 1 woman marriage. Bigamy's number. So while I feel we need to gear up and keep moving, we also need to accept and feel proud that we have done certain things as a nation. So, as Indians, we love to bash ourselves up. At some point, we should also say, hey, we did this. So that's one aspect of it. But at the grassroots, I have had the privilege to be working for the last 15 months. And actually, Madhu's line was a bit changed. And what I really said is the real challenge that we've given ourselves at our foundation, at the Swadesh Foundation, is to empower 1 million Indians, rural Indians, in 5 years, to lift them out of poverty permanently in 5 years. And we, while it sounds extremely ambitious, in the last 15 months, we have moved from a reach of 39,000 people to 2.5 lakh people. And we do that because, it's like what we've set ourselves up to do is something that we really want to do, and the privilege is all ours. But I have an example of a lady, and I was telling them before the panel started, because I really believe change is possible. And I know the world is a tough tough place. And when I hear Lakshmi's story, my heart, but look at her today. God bless her. God bless the people who started your foundation. There is this woman, we started this program for community health workers. 7 standard pass ladies. They were so shy that if we have these community meetings, they would not even speak. So we used to insist that we have men and the women in the room, but the women would never speak. We picked these ladies up in 7 months. They did 4 months of training on health details that you and I don't know about. And I was just chatting with them and testing them, and they are getting it. We had a meeting of 250 people who have migrated from our areas to Bombay the other day, to Mumbai the other day. 250 men. We got one of the ladies who would refuse to speak earlier. She got up on stage and she spoke for 7 minutes without any hesitation, explaining the program. And then on her own, we were having a problem because we have these kits, these medical kits. So we have medicines in those kits, and the medicines obviously keep running out. So I was telling the ladies that now we need to think of a solution. How do you replenish the kits? And you won't believe it, she got up in front of these 250 men and said, "We're having this problem. The kits are getting over, and what are y'all going to do to help us?" So, I mean, it's just 7 months of training, the right feeling of being empowered, going home to home, being able to tell a person, this is the problem you have, this is what you should be doing. It's incredible and it can be done.
In fact, I want to take on it exactly from where you say that it's training and it's empowering in the rural areas she's talking about, but let me talk about even the urban areas. Now, when it's results day in the college, and I'm sure Professor Sardesai will also endorse this, when it's results day, and I'm giving the top 10 rankers a little chocolate because in the class or in the university or wherever it is, guess what? Out of the 10, how many are girls?
7.
All are girls? Or there are 9 out of 10 are girls, okay? And I have to have reservation for boys in pants in my college. I'm sure Nandini would agree to that. But what happens to these girls at the workplace? What happens to these girls? Why don't we see them as motivated and as brilliant and as such great performers when they are in the workplace? I think she really talked about that multi-word training. I think we in our colleges, besides teaching, need to give to a lot of mentorship. If it was not for my mother's mentorship or for my husband's aunt who, every time I used to run the university exams, again Nandini would empathize with this, 7 o'clock I had to be in the college. That cupboard had that question papers which 7,000 students would get, and that key was with me and I was in charge of the examination. If I don't reach there, 7,000 students don't get those question papers. Invariably on that day when I'm dressing up and getting in at 6 o'clock, my son would wake up with high fever, 104 fever. That examination, frenzy used to get to him before I could even reach that cupboard. And what do? Ring up my mother, ring up my aunt. And my mother used to say, go, I'll reach. She used to stay not too far away from me. I said, 5 o'clock, will you get into a taxi? She said, don't worry. तुम हिंदुस्तान के बच्चों को संभालो, मैं तुम्हारे बच्चे को संभालूंगा. Now, mentorship, I think for the girls, they are brilliant. Where are all my top rankers? I try to find out where are they. At the workplace, I think it's women like us, all of us, who've gone through the same problems. We've gone through that. I mean, I used to worry before giving that paper out that उसको दवाई दी होगी कि नहीं होगी, मम्मी ने बरोबर किया होगा. All that worrying is there, right? And my husband would take his briefcase and go, right? But that's not the point. The point is how much can we tell the women and how much can we guide, don't give up. That's all we have to tell these girls.
Just to add a word to this from a corporate point of view, which is absolutely right. We see very few, a lot of my friends who started college, all things together, they just don't make it there. I think the companies need to change their policies on 2 aspects. One is about the duration in which a woman is, in the journey of her life where she's taken a decision to have children or to expand her family. That is a very critical area. I have seen my colleagues who are friends who are male say, मैं तो नहीं लूँगा woman को अपनी टीम में यार अभी वो तो शादी हुई है वो फिर निकल लेगी फिर ये वो. So we need to change very strictly policies around that. This is a fact. One, we suffer there. Secondly, companies need to change their culture to have a better work-life balance. This idea of saying that the guy who leaves at 11:30 must be the most hard-working of the people in the office is a fallacy. He's probably the lout who didn't get his work finished in time. If we had the timings of the office set, because a lot of women, because they have additional responsibilities, because they're the only ones in the family capable of taking additional responsibilities, have to leave at a certain time because they prioritize all their responsibilities. This starts working in the wrong light in their workplace. So the cultures of the companies needs to change. People who are on boards who are women need to empathize and put these cultures into momentum. And we need to ensure we have very sound policies around maternity leave and perception of maternity leave. So I just thought
we're moving towards flexible timings in the workplace. We're moving towards flexi timings, and I think those should be encouraged, that you talked about. The corporate should really encourage that. But I must tell you, two of my young staff members have just given to birth, and not to one baby each, but both have given birth to twins. And both these girls are my amazing staff, and I've started a creche in the college for them. What do you mean? Right? But my kids love it, my students love it, because they pamper these little kids while their mothers are teaching. But I think that's what needs to be done.
I think this is a very good idea that I wish other colleges would also follow suit. This would help a lot of young professors, but one thing, when you talked about that nomenclature part of it, a lot of young, again, it's a very urban phenomenon, but I do find a lot of young girls are not giving up their surname when they get married. My daughter has not given up her surname. She's the same name in the passport. She said, I got my PhD as a Sunday side. I will remain a Sunday side. My daughter-in-law has not changed her surname. So I think it's coming about, working women. And when you talked about this thing about the father running off with the briefcase, I don't think today's father dare do that. not with the educated wife. And I'm giving you the example of Priya, because when she had a baby and she was campaigning, and her husband took over. So I think, the moment the parents realize, the father and mother, that it's a joint responsibility. It's just not procreation, should not be used as a weapon against the woman. On the contrary, the woman should feel, okay, now the husband should feel that this is the time when I can help my wife, and she should be able to depend on him. And I think Priya's husband, I'm 100% sure, or even more so, that he must have done all the hard work besides lactating. Okay? I'm sure he did all the rest of pamper changing, everything must have been done by him, otherwise she wouldn't have been where she is today.
I quite a lot in your piece in the book. Would you like to share some of that?
Yeah, I would actually. And he was standing right behind me. I see his left, thank God. So I don't want to praise him right in front of him. But really, truly, I mean, if I'm able to do what I am able to do today, is thanks to his support. And I know as a woman, many times we sit around and enjoy the male bashing, but I think it's not like that all the time. It's not like that all the time, and I think if you get that support from your husband or from a male person of your family, it really means a lot. It really means a lot, especially from a husband of a working woman. And and I was hearing everybody's discussions, and I think there are two things: is fear and guilt, which women suffer from constantly. And I've gone through that, the fear of the unknown. The first thought that comes to your mind is, I can't do this. I won't be able to do it. I don't know how to do it. So the fear of, or if you are in a position, for instance, your job or a violent marriage, the fear of being alone, the fear of losing your job, the fear of what society sees, and also riddled with guilt. That maybe it's me. is that constant self-blame. And I think these are the two factors which really pulls you down. And I think what really helped me in this whole thing was my husband saying that, listen, you can do it. And we used to fight because I used to tell him, why do you want me to do this? I don't want to do it. And he said, no, I know you can do it. And I'm there with you. And I can very proudly say that both my sons are 8 and 6. And I'm very happy the way we've been raising them. And yes, my fear has always been that I should be able to give the right values to my children. I should be able to raise them well. I should be able to do this. I hope I'm not lacking somewhere. I hope I'm able to give them the best. But we kind of watch our step, every step we take forward. And it's great to be together to do this.
Something that Professor Sardesai actually wrote, which really captures what I think we're all trying to say, is that she wrote, the war was won with unexpected help from enlightened males. Yes, women all over the world, and especially in India, suffer from a plethora of indignities and abuse. Not only do they need to fight back with grit, they also need to be tough and enlist the support of men. So I think that was very well put, and I think that's exactly what we see.
Because we talked about that Bombay Gymkhana, you see, only the men had the right to membership and they had the right to vote. So when we wanted to have that right to vote for women and make them members, we needed the support of the men to call a special general body meeting. We needed 300